That's nice. Hey my ducks, welcome back to my video on Sharpie's Pond World. Now these next few days here in the UK is expected to hit in some parts 40 degrees Celsius. It's going to hit about 37, 38 just here in the Midlands. So all this heat, all this sunshine, what does it mean to your pond? If you want to find out, roll titles, let's go. I've got my sunglasses on to protect my eyes, I've got sunblock on to protect my skin, I've even got it on my head. And a nice drink to keep myself hydrated. This is no different for your fish in your pond. So, what can you do to help your fish in extreme heat, in extreme weather? Most of the time when you're designing your pond, you're thinking about keeping your fish safe during winter. You're thinking about how deep it's going to be for the winter. You're thinking about keeping the ice at the top for the winter. Summer in extreme heat can be just as bad as what wintering can. And when you're building your pond, you've got to think about hot summers as well as freezing cold winters. Every pond is different. Some are big, some are small. The more surface area, the better. The less surface area, the more your fish can suffer. First and foremost, it's all about preparation. Firstly prepare before the heat arrives. And what you can do is make sure all your debris is all hoovered out at the bottom of your pond. Any waste and debris that's all accumulating down there starves the oxygen from your pond. It takes the oxygen that your fish need out of the water. Filter clean. Again, filter cleans as much as possible. All the debris, all the waste that accumulates at the bottom of your filter, again, starving oxygen, vital oxygen that your fish are going to need. So going back to all the crap that builds up at the bottom of your pond, get out those pond vacs, get hoovering, get rid of all the weed, all your rotted plants, accumulate at the bottom, all your fish waste. Before the heat comes, get in there and get it all cleaned out. Preparation is key. Again, preparation. Once all your debris is cleaned up, your filters are clean, make sure your air pump, my air pump is inside my filter house, so my air stones are fed off. Got to make sure it's in tip-top condition. Any diaphragms need replacing, get them replaced. You don't want your air pump failing when the heat is too hot and you've got no air pump and the shops are closed. If it's too late. Also your pumps in your pond, again, maintain them, get them cleaned. You don't want them blocking up. You don't want any pumps failing. Make sure they're clean, they're working. If you need a spare, it's always recommended to have a spare air pump. It's always recommended to have a spare pond pump. If you need it, you've got it. Again, you don't want to be leaving it too late. Once you've done your preparation, then start thinking about the shade. Now my garden, you could say fortunately, is south facing. So the sun comes up and covers the garden the whole day. So my pond is actually sat in the sun all day. Now I'm fortunate enough to put a pergola over the top of the mine, shaded at the top. It keeps the sun off the fish, keeps the sun off the water, stops the water from heating up so quick. If you don't have a pergola, get out those parasols, cover the pond as much as possible, keep the sun off the pond. Any places your pond's in the sun all day, cover it with a parasol. If you need multiple parasols, go ahead. But if you're fortunate enough to, when you're building your pond, always think about putting a pergola across the top. not just for green water purposes, not just for predators, not just for herons. It will also stop your water from heating up in extreme heat. Perfect. I'm even tempted actually just to shade mine even more, because the sun does not come through a lot, but it just come through slightly. So I'm already thinking now, if summers are going to get worse like this, add a bit more shade onto the pond. With the shade, your fish can actually get sunburn, especially your whitefish. If you've got a whitefish and it's basking in the sun and you've got no shade of the pond, that fish can burn, it can blister, just like humans can. When humans are swimming in outdoor pools or in the sea, you get sunburn more easy. It's no different to your fish. Get them shaded. Now your next step is aeration. The more your water is agitated, the more oxygen your fish will take. So let's start with waterfalls. For those that have got an in-ground pond, it's easy to put a waterfall at the side of your pond. Always think about it when you're constructing your pond. Always think about water, always think about aeration. If you've got a raised pond, obviously waterfalls isn't so much easy. So then think about your filter returns. So I've got the Nexus filter, which is in my filter house. Shoots out the return. You can see how fast it's coming out. You can see my water. It's like a river flowing. All that is producing rich oxygen for the fish. I've also got 2 more water returns coming from the other filter. Again, agitating the water. The higher, the better when you need oxygen. Because the more it hits and crashes the water surface, the better and more oxygen being produced. As you come round my pond, because mine is an L-shaped pond, which is a bit awkward, I've got a water feature in the corner. Again, high up, plenty of oxygen, agitating the water, crashing onto the water, creating bubbles, creating oxygen. Another good way to agitate the water through hot weather is get water fountains. You can easily buy small pumps just to create a small fountain in your pond. There's numerous types of fountains you can use, but it's all agitating the water, it's all crashing on the water, it's all creating oxygen your fish are going to need during the hot weather. So not only have we got my water returns, water flowing, crashing across the back of the pond. I don't know if you can notice on camera, but there's air stones all the way across, producing bubbles, which produces oxygen for your fish. The more air stones, the better. What you don't want is any stagnant dead spots. You want all your water to be moving. Your fish will thank you for it. And guys, in all honesty, it's going to be that hot in the next few days. Luckily my air pump, I've still got 2 more returns I can use, so I'm going to put 2 more pipes on, and even going to put some more air stones in. Not that I think I'll need it, but I'm just in case really. I don't want it to be too late. Air pumps. You get big air pumps, you get small air pumps. When it comes to oxygenating your pond in an emergency, it doesn't really matter. If you've got a small aquarium air pump, it's going to agitate that water, get it in. Of course, planning a pond, you should always plan ahead anyway and think about air pumps. A good decent air pump for plenty of air stones and air and bottom drains, things like that. But always keep a spare one for extreme heat. That's going to get that water agitated and get oxygenated. On my pond, and a lot of ponds, especially more formal ponds, will have plants. Yes, your plants are great for oxygen during the day, but they have totally the opposite effect at night time, because the plants take up all the oxygen at night. So don't think to yourself, okay, I've got plants in the pond, my pond is oxygenated. Doesn't make a difference. So how will you know if you don't have enough oxygen in your pond? Your first warning sign will be from your fish. If you've got your fish at the top of the surface, lethargic, gasping at the surface, gasping for air, that is a telltale sign that that fish is not getting enough oxygen in the pond. So, what do you do? If you've left it too late and your fish look like they're about to roll over, you've got to act fast. In extreme circumstances, in emergency, one thing you could do is do a water change. Maybe up to 50% water change, because you want fresh, oxygenated, clean water in that pond as quickly as possible. Of course, making sure that tap water is dechlorinated. Thing to do as an emergency, get some frozen bottles of water and you can float them in the pond. But that is in an emergency, because you don't really want to bring the temperature down too quick, because you're just going to stress out your fish. Stressed fish can make them jump, it can make them jump out the pond. Stress can kill. Another thing you can do in an emergency is get out your hose pipe, put it onto spray it over the water of your pond. You're agitating that water, you're oxygenating that water. Your fish are going to thank you for it in extreme circumstances. One big question many of you is going to ask: what happens during a heat wave and you had a power cut? Okay, good question. I read on a blog somewhere that someone actually got just a brush, just a normal sweeping brush, and got it in the pond and stood there and agitated that water as much as possible. It's one thing to do. Not recommended with all the dirt and crap going everywhere, but in extreme circumstances you got to do what you got to do. Of course, that's where your garden hose will probably come in handy as well. Get that garden hose out, get it sprayed on the water. Great way to oxygenate your water during a power cut. So guys, just by following those simple steps, when it's weather like this, you can sit out in the garden, you can sit by your pond with your favourite glass of whatever you drink and just absolutely relax by the pond, not worrying if your fish are going to be suffering or not. So guys, if I managed to help anyone out there, mainly those novices, mainly those beginners, then please make sure you give it a thumbs up. Thanks for sticking around. If you're not subscribed to my channel, I recommend you subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything and it really helps me out. And hit that bell to get your notifications. And then we'll hopefully see you for another video from Sharpie's Pond World. Cheers my ducks, bye.